listening to Speaking with One Voice with Rodney Payne. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, topics you'd like discussed on the show, or if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at rpayne@onevoiceinc.org. That's rpayne@onevoiceinc.org. You can also search for us on Acast, Google Play, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Just look for Speaking with One Voice. Now, here's your host, Rodney Payne.
Hello and welcome to Speaking with One Voice. I am your host, the coach, Rodney Payne. I am so excited as always to be with you here on Speaking with One Voice, the leadership podcast you can trust to add value to you and your team each and every week. Listen, I really want to thank you for your continued support. I know you've been watching us on our YouTube channel at Rodney R. Payne. You're on our social media platforms, but I need your help. Would you please do me a couple of favors? Number one, I want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We need you to subscribe and turn your notifications on. Also, if you're consuming the great content that we're putting out on social media, why don't you go ahead and like that, comment, and share it for us as we look to expand our space in this digital space where we can continue to add value to leaders. And we want to do that to for more leaders so that we can continue to expand that digital footprint. And you've done a wonderful job. And I just want to thank you. And I want to ask you to come on and let's continue to move the One Voice leadership brand forward. Now, let's get into today's topic. Here, we've been talking about for the past several episodes, 5 keys to effective collaboration. I find that collaboration, there's an art to this. It's not just about working together, but it's about working together to be successful, to get the best in class product and deliverables to your clients, to get your teams to perform at all-time highs so that you are the leader in your space. And for that to happen, we have to be willing to collaborate, but we also have to know how to do that effectively. So we talked about number one, the foundation of collaboration is building trust and respect. There's no way that we can collaborate if we don't trust and have respect one for another within our team. Secondly, we have to have clear communication. This is the real art of collaboration. When we can communicate, which is an interchange of information that allows us to not only send information and send a desired message, but also receive the message of the one that we are communicating with so that we can be on the same page, have the same goals, and ultimately the best outcomes. And to do that, we also need to include embracing diverse perspectives. This is what we call the power of inclusion. We've got to make sure that we are inclusive when we collaborate. So it's not just the team members, but it's also the teams that the team members represent. And then in last episode, we talked about role clarity and accountability to driving teams forward. And this is to help us to understand who's doing what and to create a place where we can be held accountable. And I want us to really understand that accountability is a two-way street. It's not just up to you to hold others accountable. It's also you being willing to be held accountable. And we're going to wrap this series up with today's episode. And we're calling this one Evaluating and Adapting Collaborative Practices. This is the whole thing. Now that we have got this process, we've set our foundation, we're communicating, we've got diverse perspectives, we're clear on our roles, we're accountable. Now we need to add evaluation and adaptation so that we can improve. The key is we have to inspect what we expect, my friends. So if there is no way to evaluate, we won't know if we're doing a good job. So let's hop into this as we talk about evaluating and adapting collaborative practices. The first thing that we have to do is we have to be willing to, as the title suggests, evaluate team performance. That's right. The collaboration can only be as successful as the performance of the team. And there are a few things when you think about team performance. One is you want to be transparent and you want to be honest. When we evaluate, we don't want to move the needle to make it where we can change or have a sliding scale or grade on the curve. We're looking for the absolute best output. So in order to get that, we have to have honesty and integrity when evaluating. We also want to be fair. Don't be overly harsh or critical, but be fair and equitable in how we evaluate. So, what we really want to talk about is that we've got to make sure that we have some frameworks that are consistent across the board for assessing the effectiveness of our collaboration. What did we do? Did we get out of this collaborative effort what we anticipated? What are the frameworks? What are the measurements? You all know I am a process guy. I love processes and systems, and they are meant to be improved and they are meant to be enhanced. And so they have to be also adhered to. That's right. We have to do it and say we're going to do it and actually execute this thing called framework assessment. So, what are the components? Obviously, we want to talk about in order to have an assessment or an evaluation that is consistent, you had to establish a clear goal or desired outcome of the collaborative effort. What do we want to see? We start that on the front end and then we measure at intervals. And at the conclusion of the project, we go back and reassess. This is going to help us to truly identify our markers and know how we came in. Not just at the end of the day, dollars and cents, but in every sense of the word team, how did we come out? I've been on some teams where I tell my teams oftentimes, I said, we have Carl Lewis makeup speed. He's an Olympian from the 80s. If you don't know, that's okay. But basically he was at one point the fastest man in the world. And my team, a lot of times, we always finish. We always finish strong and the outcome looks good, but we had casualties of improper collaboration along the way. That's right. We finished and we finished well, but what did it cost us? Many times we could lose possible leaders as a result of our ineffective collaboration. While we got it done, we had some go-getters, some hard workers who pulled in overtime, burned the midnight oil, and got the project across the finish line. But quite frankly, our collaboration was not effective because we ended up playing isolation ball is what they call it, iso ball, where you just take it and you finish it and have a bunch of people who just do by themselves without including anyone else. So we get a what I call as a false positive, where you get a good outcome, but your process costs you more and hinders your ability to collaborate going forward. And so when we do this, we're simply identifying our areas for improvement. It's important that we understand that collaboration is only as effective as our willingness to evaluate it as well as identify areas for improvement. So in the scenario I just gave you, one of the things that I've worked on with my team is that, listen, we get it done. That's no longer good enough. That's no longer acceptable. We want to go back and recap and do a debrief and what have you, but we want an effective collaboration process that builds up the team, that builds momentum, that encourages the team, and therefore produces the best result where you can enjoy the result. When you wear a team out on the way because you didn't collaborate successfully or effectively, you end up getting across the finish line and you win, and you have no energy to even enjoy the win because it was just too hard to get. I know I have someone who understands that area. How do you fix it? You develop frameworks for assessing that you adhere to. You establish clear goals on the front end, and you don't wait until the project is finished to evaluate. You want to evaluate on a regular basis. We talked about this a couple of episodes ago when we have to make sure that we are assessing along the way, that we're willing to look at how we are doing. You are listening to Speaking with One Voice. I am your host, the coach, Rodney Payne. If you've not done so, why don't you stop by our website and pick up our latest book called Critical Decisions Made Easy. It's a framework for decision making that will help you to make confident, consistent, and effective decisions. Now back to our focus of evaluating and adapting collaborative processes. As we move on, there's one more thing, a couple, but the next thing I want to share with you is in this process of assessment, you have to implement feedback loops. We talked about this in our last episode. I wanted to revisit it because I told you it's a two-way street. If you can hold someone accountable, someone can hold you accountable. Well, feedback is not always accountability. Feedback is what it says. It's giving you information or insight from one perspective. And what feedback does is feedback often addresses blind spots because there are some things about you, about the way you communicate, about our team, about how we interact that are blind spots. And if we have feedback loops where we can take this information and recycle it through the team, it's going to help us to be able to get on the same page and identify and correct those blind spots. If you think about driving your vehicle, if you're driving your vehicle and you fail to signal and you don't have one of the newer vehicles that has sensors that lets you know in the side view mirror that there's a vehicle there, if you don't see that vehicle and you don't notify with a lane change, you could have an accident because you didn't notice your blind spot was there. You was in your blind spot, you couldn't see it, and it cost you a great deal of inconvenience at the least. What I want to talk about here is we have to integrate. It's so important that we integrate not a one-time feedback mechanism, but rather an ongoing feedback mechanisms, not just one. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we have a way, a system, a framework that helps us to come and offer feedback in a constructive manner. This can be done via surveys. This can be done internally by departments. This can be done in a meeting face to face as your team grows and comes together. And you won't be so defensive, and you'll create an environment or a culture where feedback is okay and it's accepted and it's the norm. But while you're building this process and you're building your team, you want to be careful to not put people on the spot, because you have some people who are very confrontational. They don't mind confrontation, while others, confrontation shuts them down. So you want to be careful to make sure that your feedback loops are conducive to feedback that matches the DNA and the culture of your team. Each team has its own makeup. I've been with people who, what I would call, they yell back and forth and they're fine with it. They're not offended because they're a team full of yellers. But in most cases, you're going to have a diverse group of individuals, and the diversity means that we don't all communicate the same. So when we're talking about integrating ongoing feedback mechanisms, we must account for our various personalities, the DNA of our team. We want to make sure that you feel safe, that you feel comfortable, that you feel respected, that you feel heard, that what you're saying is not going to get you put in the doghouse, that you have enough stripes to offer constructive feedback. We've talked about this, but if we're going to make sure that our collaboration works on our evaluation and adaptation and adaptation of these practices, we've got to make sure that we're looking for ways to integrate, activate, utilize these feedback mechanisms, because what we want to do is our ultimate goal in this feedback process is we want to refine our collaborative processes, not once, not at regular intervals, but rather we want to refine our practices continually. Why? We want to continue to get better. I can remember as a boy, you'd have to, I'm maybe telling my age here a little bit, but I would be in the kitchen with my grandmother. She was making a homemade peach cobbler. Oh, the memories. Oh my goodness. She would start with the flour. She'd go to the barrel and she'd bring flour in. Then she would put the flour through a sifter, and she would shake the sifter. It was a little tin sifter with a handle and a little bit crank on it that had a little red ball at the end. And what she'd do is she would sift out the flour, and sifting it is a refining process. So what it does is it takes out any contaminants that are in the flour, and then it refines or makes more smooth the flour that's ultimately going to be used. Now, I understood the process, but what I didn't understand was, why did grandma do it so many times? Because she wanted that super flaky, amazing, buttery crust that goes on top of that peach cobbler. And you get the picture. When you refine your collaborative processes on a continuous basis, you keep getting better, you keep refining, and you keep growing. That's the goal, my friends. The reason we want feedback is, one thing that you talk about, a pet peeve of leadership, is when you tell me after we've made the mistake, after it's too late to undo it, you tell me that you saw the problem before we did it, but you just didn't say anything. I need for you to know, on the team, your voice matters, and we have mechanism to offer feedback. And as we're growing as a team, that might be anonymous, that might be in some meetings that I've done. I'm dating myself again, though. We would use note cards, and these note cards, we would have a box for them, and we'd have team members that you could give them to. Now, what you would do is you would write your feedback or your question on a card anonymously, and you wouldn't put the names or specific things. You would make the question more general in nature, and then I would answer the question for the entire group, so that we can offer feedback, get answers, and get input on our desired outcomes. That's one way you can do it. I'm not telling you exactly how to do it, or what components you want to include. But what I do want you to do is make sure that you have mechanisms, that you have more than one way to gain feedback, so that you can have the most efficient and effective team when we come together and collaborate and get on one page with one desired outcome, and that we can win. Listen, I am your host, Coach Rodney Payne. You're listening to Speaking with One Voice, and we are talking about evaluating and adapting collaborative practices. I've got one more thought I'd like to share with you, and then we'll get out of here for today. It's as you evaluate and as you continue to adapt your collaboration processes, listen, you've heard me say it, but there's just no better way to end this thought. We've had 5 full weeks on collaboration, and I'm telling you, the key to this effective process is you have to make sure that you celebrate your successes. That's right. You know by now, Coach Rodney does one thing. He does not celebrate small victories. No, ma'am, no, sir. I celebrate, say it, come on, all victories. Why? Because when we recognize and celebrate, it's not individual, but rather the team. If we want collaboration to be the order of the day, we have to celebrate when we win. I've taught this to you so many times, you can teach it back to me, but I want to reiterate, make sure that you celebrate all victories, but you celebrate appropriately. Don't throw a 3-week party for a micro success. We want to have success, and we want to celebrate that. We want to make it a part of it. We want to make it a part of the culture. I tell you, I start every meeting. When I open my meeting, we celebrate. We do team celebrations. And I want to tell you, as you're doing team celebrations, here's a caveat I want you to look at, and I want you to implement this. Don't just celebrate the success of the team based on the assignment or the collaboration. There is that as well, but I want you to also allow your team members to celebrate their personal success and achievements. If Susan's son John just won the Little League World Series, or just graduated high school, that's a monumental moment for them. We can celebrate that, and celebration of individual things allows us to get to know each other better. It doesn't have to be a kumbaya, but we know each other. We work together, and it helps us to really know what's important to each other. And that makes for a better culture, a better team, and a better culture and a better team lead to success. And understand, when you have success, what that does, it fosters a motivating environment and a positive culture. And that, my friends, is what we want to do. Why are we collaborating? So that we can get the best possible product to those who we're serving, to our clients. We want the best possible solutions and the best possible outcomes. And the best outcome is when we have satisfied customers and clients, that we've met their needs, and we have a team that is fulfilled, feels appreciated, and knows they were key and central to our success. That's right, my friends. I want you to make sure that you don't celebrate small victories, but you celebrate all victories. So just as a quick recap, evaluating and adapting collaboration practices. Simply what we want to do is make sure that we have regular processes for evaluation, implementation, and celebration. That's right. Evaluate our team performance. Make sure that we assess the effectiveness of this collaboration and how we're doing it and how we can get better at it. Implement feedback loops. We have to make sure that we understand the importance of ongoing feedback mechanisms, more than one, that we can have feedback as a positive part of our culture, and it's just the way we do things. And then, my friends, as we went along this journey, we want to celebrate successes. So I want you to remember, it's significant that we celebrate, because when we celebrate team achievements, we celebrate individuals on the team, it creates a motivating environment and a positive culture. And that's how we can understand the keys to effective collaboration. My friends, I am so excited that we got to hang out and deal with this thing called 5 keys to effective collaboration. Let me remind you of the 5 keys one more time. The foundation of collaboration is building trust and respect. I have to be able to trust you and know that we are respectful in our work environment. Clear communication. There's an art. That's the art of collaboration. We got to make sure that we're clearly communicating, that we're embracing diverse perspectives. Our strength is in our difference. The power of inclusion, the role, clarity, and accountability. Who's on first? Who's on second? What are you supposed to do? Now report back. Did you do it? And this will drive our team forward. And then, my friends, our continuous improvement is going to be evaluating and adapting collaboration practices. My friends, that's all I have time for this week. You have been listening to Speaking with One Voice. I am your host, the coach, Rodney Payne. Again, thank you so much for listening. I need you to please help us out as we continue to expand. We're adding content for you on all of our social media platforms very regularly, each week, several times a week, at Rodney R. Payne. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. We've got TikTok, YouTube, you name it, we're there. On YouTube, we want you to subscribe. On all of our other platforms, we want you to begin to like our posts, like them, respond to them, share them. And you too, at Rodney R. Payne, I want you to go ahead and subscribe and turn the bell on and begin to catch this content there as well. And as always, if you've got some feedback for us, we want to create a feedback loop. You can DM us on any of our social media platforms. You can contact us there, or you can visit our website at it's rodneyrpayne.com, actually. And we would love to hear from you. And I'd love to begin to answer some of your thoughts, or even perhaps dedicate an episode to answering the questions you have. Be on the lookout. We've got some new things coming out for you. Our team is continuing to grow, and we're excited that you're a part of the One Voice Leadership family. And we thank you so much for making this podcast a great success. Remember, we don't celebrate small victories. We celebrate all victories. Well, my friends, I have kept you way too long today. I want you to make it a great day on purpose, because that's up to you to decide to be happy, to decide to be excellent, decide to hold yourself accountable, and decide to be the best leader that you can be. As always, my pleasure hang out with you. I am your host, the coach, Rodney Payne. Until next time, my friends, you've got it. Let's keep growing together.
You've been listening to Speaking with One Voice. Please remember to follow Rodney Payne on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Rodney R. Payne. We'd love to hear from you and get your feedback, so please feel free to leave us comments. And if you would, rate and subscribe to the podcast. We'd appreciate that as well. Don't forget to set up for notifications so you can get the latest updates and social media posts and get new podcasts when they're released. As always, use the hashtag Speaking with One Voice or simply SWOV on any of your social media posts. On behalf of Rodney Payne,